It's Courtney Love. She may be downstairs trying to come on. Oh, she's here. You guys want to get her downstairs?
Okay.
Rejoin my Courtney Love. I'm staying at her house. I'm told her to come on by.
Okay.
Do you guys have some beef, Bebe?
I don't know her.
She's great. She's one of my. I love her.
Scares the shit out of me.
She is one of my. She's one of my favorite people in the world, and I mean it, and hopefully you'll see why. Don't worry, we won't mention the New York piece where you talk shit.
I just don't want to get into a throwdown.
No, you're not going to. She's. I feel. Let me tell you something about Courtney.
Well, because I said something about her parenting skills in an interview I did recently.
It's okay. She may not have seen it. But let me tell you something. When I first
I'm going with the hacker. I'm going. Honey, you could go with Courtney. I mean, he did. No, listen. He did a complete tour with Nirvana. He was there the night Courtney and Kurt hooked up in Chicago.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, Kurt tried to get him to go back to the room with them.
Just to protect him or something, really.
No. I think
just to be part of it.
I don't know.
He always tried to kiss Jim on the lips a lot.
Right.
He liked Jim's lips.
Well, I'm sure, and that's funny because what I was going to say was that if there was any feeling like Das Damen to me were the kind of peak of that stuff, and then you guys broke up just as it all happened. So was there? Yes.
I'm changing seats, Jim. I'm moving down one.
Okay.
I'm scared.
Okay, let me tell you something before we get started.
We're going down it.
And it's like a real dinner party. Guests are stopping
in.
Okay.
Jim, would you come sit next to me? Let Dan sit next to Courtney.
Okay.
I feel. Let me tell you something about Courtney because I felt the same way before I met her, and I was in a number of situations while I was doing the Marilyn Manson book where she was there, and I would actually purposely avoid her. And once I met her, and I don't know what Bebe's like preparing for some kind of nuclear holocaust, but once we met, I really think that. Listen, and you
I'm fine.
And let me tell you something.
I just wanted to live
Bebe?
another 5 years to enjoy my career a little bit. I finally have to work so hard. I didn't want to.
It's not.
You do all those shows on stage, but it's the radio show now. You're like,
yeah.
Here's the crazy thing. She is here to meet Dan Kaminsky more than any of us three.
Well, the thing is that I would love to learn more how we can protect ourselves from bad people through him.
But okay, but let's and that's what she wants. That's what we all want to know. So let me just say something though, which is there's perception and there's reality, and I really think that
reality.
We've all been friends. Jim, Bebe, myself. Maybe Jim, but maybe Dan. I don't want to keep calling you Jim. You look like a Jim.
He's a Jim Dan. We've made it.
So we've been friends with a lot of well-known people.
Jim Dan.
We've been friends with a lot of well-known people. And usually when you have a use, they're friends with you. When you don't, they're not. And through thick and thin, which is odd to say that Courtney has always been a good friend. So we're going to take a short break. We're going to be right back with Courtney Love if she's downstairs. If not, we will see what happens. And we're going to continue this great discussion. You're listening to The Inner Circle with Neil Strauss on Stars 2, Sirius XM 104.
Neil Strauss, The Inner Circle on Sirius XM Stars 2, 104.
I always have a wonderful time wherever I am, whomever I'm with.
You're with Neil Strauss, The Inner Circle. Stars 2, Sirius XM 104.
Married for 12 years. You're listening to Neil Strauss, who's The Inner Circle on Stars 2, Sirius XM 104.
Thank you.
So we got 5 people in the studio, so we're going to try and help you keep the voices straight. Courtney Love just joined us from a chanting
from the
session.
lobby
From
and
the
after
lobby.
a Buddhist meeting, and the lobby
Yes.
was pulling that "I don't know who you are" nonsense.
Right. And Courtney is here to meet Dan Kaminsky, who is probably one of the. Not only is he like a computer genius, but he's actually like a logical genius. Like we were saying earlier, he found a flaw in the internet
linear?
that no one.
We're never going to click.
You guys are going to click like magic. He's smart about everything. I could talk to him about anything.
He's like, can I call him the H word? No.
Can you?
He's a hacker.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been looking for you for a really long time, and the problem is that the places that I can find you are these .orgs, and you have to do these Rubik's Cubes on like Linux to get in to start in the conversation. So then I started subscribing to an actual fanzine on paper that's named after the first hacking, which was the first hacking. Neil, do you know what it is? Because I know what it is.
No, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
2600.
Oh, yeah,
And what
2600,
2600, do you know what it is?
It's that website where they're all.
No, but what is the significance of 2600? What does it mean?
Honestly,
Tell us.
all I know
What
is
it
the Atari
means. Tell us.
2600.
It
That's all I know.
means it was the pitch. It's like a pitch of that could let you use the Watts line, so you could do endless long distance phone calls. And that was the
interesting.
first piece of hacking. And I learned an incredible thing from 2600. It only comes out 4 times a year. And so all of you that are listening out there, and you guys, this is the most sensible, common advice. If you're bad with passwords, okay? If your password, now, Dan, you're obviously not bad with passwords and you probably have a keychain. The rest of us don't, all right? And we do things like, old password of mine was Mercer123. Okay, hello. Could you be stupider? Right. Okay, so or Francis B1. All right, I mean retarded. Now those aren't my passwords anymore because of 2600. They've got this thing. It's mnemonic, right? And she's buying the Stairway to Heaven. Okay, ASBTHTH.
Smart. That's
so
smart.
if you think of a song that you really like, let alone one you wrote.
That's great. I love that.
Right?
I love that. It's a great takeaway.
Hey Jude, don't make it sad. Or it could be bad. Take a sad song and make it better. TASSAMIB. And then you've got your password.
That's actually kind of genius because
Is
I
that
feel
good?
like my
Is that
passwords are too
sensible?
predictable.
And we can all know it. Everyone could get that.
Smart.
Any idiot could
and
get that.
it's a long string. And by the way, Courtney Love, Dan Kaminsky. We also got Jimmy Walls and Bebe Buell who were here. And
Bebe.
Well,
Buell.
Dan.
Yeah.
Goddess Bebe Buell.
Oh, Courtney, thank you.
It's true. I really
Sweet.
felt like Bebe, like before I ever met
Well,
Bebe, she was like almost like a non-existent figure to me because she was so like a mythical creature, like
The top hat. Oh,
yeah.
God.
I've got about 80 top hats. That's my fetish, my top hat fetish. But Dan, back to you.
It's actually really interesting.
I'm just curious about how you can protect us though. If you're a good hacker, how do you get rid of the bad people?
Well, if you've been hacked.
Well, I've been hacked a million times by the same asshole.
Oh, I don't get. I get hacked by my own people. My own people hack my ass. Actually, I took my computer into the stupid Apple store in Soho, and it had so many viruses on it that the quote, is genius. I mean, I was smarter than the genius, but I couldn't. There's certain things that just like I'm just a dense Luddite about, like Command Apple, and I've never not used Apple. In fact. My real father, are you like Fire in the Valley, you know your history kind of guy?
Okay.
Okay, my real bio dad, the guy that like his sperm is why I'm here. He used to work at Dr. Dobbs, and he is from
Are you serious?
Menlo Park.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And he gave me a Lisa 2 for Neil, I'm always 15 in my stories, but at some point I had to be 20. So this is like 15 though. Because it had wood on it and it had little dancing bears. And whenever I see dancing bears, I go Grateful Dead, vomit. Okay. Like can't deal. Not marijuana, Grateful Dead, vomit, dancing bears. Not good.
Bad memory.
And and it said, and it was from Steve God Jobs, who Hank worked with or for because he worked at InfoWorld as well. And there was a little note, and it said, Miss Piss and Vinegar. I'm quoting now, because when Jobs died, I only met him at like a TED conference, and it was like meeting God. And I don't get that much, like weak need, like, oh. And it had wood on it, this Lisa too, which I guess was his daughter's name. And, God, I wish I was his daughter. Anyway, so it said, Dear Miss Piss and Vinegar,
Wait, no,
something about playing guitar.
Did he disown his daughter though? Didn't he disown his daughter? His daughter
Yeah,
was
he did
against
initially
her.
disown his daughter,
So maybe
and
it's a
then he
good thing
got
he went
really
to
crazy about his private life,
Right.
and so no one knows who he's left with, basically.
Right. Yeah, so
okay.
be careful what you wish for.
So, but can I just say,
Yeah.
this is before I went to Liverpool, and I had a guitar, and I didn't know Hank at all, and Hank wanted to impress me. And so he did things like he got a private plane to fly me from this institution I was in for girls. But it wasn't a private plane. It was one of those Cessnas that's like a crop duster. It's like he broke into someone's boathouse in Sausalito to make me think he was wealthy, but it wasn't his house. I mean, he's insane. All right.
Yeah.
Well, he must have loved you a lot to do that.
Or felt bad,
The best
felt
thing my
guilty.
mother
Or
did
something,
was
I
take
mean-
custody away from this guy.
Yeah.
But and anyone that knows my story knows about that.
Yeah.
But the one thing it said, forget about the guitar and learn fractals. And this is 1980. I swear to God, too. How crazy. And it was a note from Steve Jobs.
That's genius.
That's brilliant.
That's genius.
The connections between people crack me up.
But then in Time magazine, they didn't have a Lisa 2. They listed just the Lisa. And I saw a picture, and I'm like, that's not what I got. What I got was big, it was hulking, it was huge, but it had wood on it.
What's impressive, Courtney, and I got to ask you this, which is you have the most incredible mind because she'll remember things that I said 2 years ago. And you'll remember, and I even forgot telling you.
Yeah, I can't remember how to do.
But then you help her to remember things.
I don't. She remembers more than I remember. I can never. My brain can't hold it.
But he helps me remember things. Sometimes I turn to
my intelligent quotient test. I have actual photographic proof now, because when I went to Trinity and I got that honorary degree last week in Dublin, right, I got to see my SAT scores, right, so they're not a fantasy. He gave me copies and I took pictures.
Right.
SAT, A levels, O levels, and the intelligent quotient test that I took, they change them every 3 years. It's called Sanford something. So I've been, remember when Sharon Stone did that thing where she said she was a member of Mensa and she wasn't? Mm-hmm. So there's no way I was
none of us remember that. Did you actually remember that?
No, but she said that means she had a 152.
Yes. None of us remember that.
I mean, she had a 152 IQ. And also, they give it to you at 12. Maybe does anyone here ever had to take
my
one?
father is a member of Mensa.
Really? I'm not.
But my father is, and he was one of the earliest members.
Oh, really? And what's his number? What was his number?
He's what is Hal? He has his little plaque.
He was high.
You saw his plaque though.
Yeah.
On his wall.
What's
I
the
just
number?
discovered my dad. He's going to be 92, and he.
But the criteria is so different. Changes every few years.
Yeah, but I hadn't seen him in 33 years, and we went to his house, and he had his little plaque on the wall that says he's a Mensa, and I don't know what his number is. What is his number? 162 or something like that. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask him. I don't know what his number it is.
I'm sure the brain cells on me are shot to
But I mean,
hell.
he's elderly now, and he just had a stroke, and he's not really Mensa-ing.
Well, it's bent towards, Dan, would you agree with this? It's bent towards mathematical ability, utterly and completely. It's bent that way, so it's really not female oriented. And the only reason I scored high in it, Bebe, hear me on this, I took 2. I took them 6 months apart, okay? More or less. I took them when I went into the juvenile system in Oregon. One makes me retarded, okay? Like sub-stupid. The other one makes me psycho crazy, right? Smart, right? So, but they were the same room, the same woman, the same effort. It's random that the numbers were so different. And obviously the number at Trinity that got me in
based on numbers
was a big number.
Right.
But 6 months later, and I was 12, right? And so when you get burdened with this gifted nonsense, all of a sudden you're gifted and everybody wants you, like you must have gone through this. You're doing tests all the time. And you know what happened? I just saw a picture of Cherie Curry and was like, I want to be that. Right. So I went and shoplifted something and went to juvenile hall. Forget
That's
it.
awesome.
Forget this gift.
Well, I don't think all IQ tests are based on
There was
math,
a documentary
though.
by Errol Morris, was it, on the
certainly
smartest guy in the world who scored the highest in these tests?
191.
And he's like
It lost him his land
Lives in that little house, and the guy that lives in the little bitty house on Long Island.
Yeah.
He's
No,
fascinating.
I'm talking about Gladwell's Outliers. He has 2 chapters on why IQ doesn't matter and why actually you should just pick out of a hat who goes to Harvard and who doesn't. He's got all the Nobel Peace Prize winners and Pulitzer winners. I mean, it's like, the nursing community college. And then Harvard, of course, Harvard. But then there'd be like crappy, Reed.
I love your
Dan
brain,
knows
like-
that joke. I just made a joke, all right, about at your expense. About Reed.
I think that it's very different now.
But no, but there's
the way they
maybe there's a
test.
book called Outliers by the guy who went to Yale named Malcolm Gladwell. I know someone that kissed him actually, and before she kissed him, he said, "Don't bite." What is that? I'm not saying her name. Even though I'm mad at her, I'm not saying her name. Because she went to Yale too, and so
Don't bite.
Well, that explains everything.
He wrote
Can't trust
people.
those
I
Yale
just
girls.
don't start with Yale girls are ugly. All right, I saw my ex-boyfriend who went to Yale last night. And I was like,
went to Yale.
Yale girls are hairy. It's such
Yale girls are
nonsense. I went to juvenile. Okay, I don't know
I
Yale
only know a couple
schmale.
Harvard
But-
people. I
but-
don't know any
You did a whole
Yaleys.
interview on Harry stuff in like New York Magazine.
What did you do an interview
She had a
on?
whole testimony about how hair, like people are missing out on the joy of pubic hair.
You mean like when vages were beavers?
Well, yeah, when we wore fur bikinis.
I love that. Linda Perry has a studio with black velvet women with real vag, like real hairy vag, and I'm like,
Wow.
Wow, God, that was.
It's like everything else. Some badges are hairy, some aren't.
You're like, dude, I believe it.
It's like everything else.
I mean, what a look, though. And then you're wearing a bikini, and
you never had hair on your vagina?
Baby, I've been waxing since they invented it.
Well,
no, that's not fair. When I was stripping, I couldn't afford the waxing, so I had to.
Okay, I did my
I'm not
first.
even admitting that.
I did my first tear it off in '81 before it was fashionable.
Did you do it before anybody else?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I do know that the guy I was seeing was very, very freaked out.
Did you wax before?
Was the guy
cool?
you were seeing a libertine,
Yes.
or was he kind of uptight?
No, he was an Englishman, but he was a tiny bit freaked out.
They love a hairy beaver, those Brits, though.
This is the inner circle.
It's cold
of Neil
there.
Strauss. We're having
You
a dinner
can braid
party.
that stuff, and they'll still think it's cool. Now, their wives all had the hairy beavers, and then their mistresses don't. With the Brits.
Well,
darling, really. Don't get me started.
I don't know. I mean, even when I had
He was an
hair, I mean,
Englishman. Go on. Sorry,
I don't
good.
think I could. I don't think it was so over hairy that I could have grown pumpkins in it or anything.
But now since we went there, girls are embarrassed if they have any hair. If they didn't totally
No, I
shave.
mean,
So
that
if
would
they
be
start
true.
waxing when they hit
Cultural.
puberty, it's never going to grow in right.
Maybe it's just some male.
Because if I tried to
fetish.
grow mine
No,
in now, it would not grow in.
It's a sign of the
like
times.
eyebrows.
It's a
like,
sign of the
if you pluck them
times.
too
It's a
much, it's like
trend.
over.
It's a trend.
No.
And don't you think, Bebe, also
What?
like plastic? Well, if we're at waxing, I'm just going to go straight here. When I was, I don't know. I'm always 14 in these stories, so put me at 24 because probably that's what I really was. But I was at the Polo Lounge, and it was before I'd done well. So I call it pre-fame, if that makes any sense. So pre-fame. I was in the Polo Lounge for some stupid reason. Why you'd be in the Polo Lounge pre-fame, I don't know. But I'm there, and I see 5 women, and they're having lunch. And they have all facelifts. And they all have this is 32 years. Someone counted how long I've been known-ish. But they all have plastic surgery. And it was like body modification. And they didn't notice what freaks they looked like. And I thought, oh my God, that's tribal. These are tribal signifiers that are just in Beverly Hills. These are these facelifts, these non-noses, these sort of pulled up things.
Like the women that wear the rings on their neck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like Malaway women, or like huge ears, and the fact that I even ever succumbed to any of it.
Well, I think we've all.
Yeah, but I live in New York now where we don't have surgery.
No, but I don't think people are getting surgery as much anymore. I think there was a big rush of it.
I was there.
Yeah, and then
I had to undo it.
The pain. I had a little work done, and it hurts. It's too painful.
No, I like the rush of going under.
recovery.
I understand what Jackson was
What
doing.
rush?
I understand what Michael was doing. No, Michael Jackson
What
was
rush? You don't
doing
even
that
feel
since
it.
the
You're
history
out.
tour.
You can't even count to 10, and you're gone.
It's such a high, though.
What's
It's
the
like
high?
dying.
I don't remember
The
anything.
propofol comes, okay?
Right.
But with it, I'm an opiate addict. So, I haven't done opiates in a long, long time. But that's my drug of choice is opiates, right? I mean, you can take your stimulants and shove them up your butt. I wouldn't do one for $1 billion. It's like, bump? Oh, that crap? Yes, I hate it. Every 5 years, maybe I'll check in with why I hate that stuff, but that's it, man. And I'm not a drinker, but
at least you're
I
honest.
love my opiates, right? So you get like Uber, morphine,
Yeah, but
Dilaudid,
if
the
I was
whole
going to waste my
thing,
time
shamoo.
getting high, I want it to last more than 3 seconds.
But I die and I come out and I'm prettier. In my head.
This is the Inner Circle with Neil Strauss on Sirius XM 104.
Oh, is it called Inner Circle?
Yeah.
Oh, so we're
You're
telling
the
inner
circle.
secrets?
That was an
I
inner
thought it
secret.
was dinner with Neil.
I like Inner Circle.
Yeah, it's the inner. I mean that you are like the master of sound bites. That was like the most awesome quote ever on plastic
What?
surgery.
What was
But
it?
I think people stopped it because they had all those shows on like the horrors of plastic surgery.
It's
I don't think the
painful.
plastic
The
surgeons have gone
recovery
bankrupt.
is awful. It's
Oh,
awful.
the recovery is the worst.
The recovery's awful, and the results are really, especially if you get the minimal.
Do you know the guy that died after the Twitter? God bless him, Dr.
Oh,
Frank
the
Ryan.
one who booked
He
with me.
did me. Okay, he
Right.
did me, and he did this thing, and it was supposed to be really minimal. Now, the give is, what do the women in the office look like? Okay, like there's the give. Okay,
Well, he was a California guy, right?
he was radical.
Yeah, wait, can I say something? This
Yeah.
guy wanted to do a book
Frank
with
Ryan.
me. Yep, he
Dr.
gave me
Ryan.
Dr. Frank.
The
He called
one that
himself
drove
Dr.
his car
Frank.
off the thingy.
Yeah, he gave me his
He
book.
twittered and died. God bless him. But
died a
Oh
week
my
later. He was twittering and
God.
fell off the PCH.
by the way,
I don't know what
when
that
my
means.
when my daughters had no work at all, but she had a moment where she was like,
She's a
"Mommy,
baby."
my nose is crooked." So you know what I did? I sent her into Ryan, and she's a sensible girl, Frances, and she came out and she said, "I wouldn't let that guy touch me." Yeah, Frances. I loved her. She got it. Because
She's
when I went in
she's
there,
beautiful and a little too young.
But I wanted to get a nose job when I was a
This is what he
teenager.
said. You're going to like this because it has to do with physical, technical beauty.
Okay, I'm in.
He said, Ryan said to me, he goes, why don't we get your eye vector done? Now, what the hell is an eye vector? He goes, your eye vector goes down too far, meaning that my eyes are a little bit sad, that they go down at the bottom
That's
end.
beautiful.
I love my eye vector, but hear me out. And he said,
even know
it
you had an
makes
eye
you
vector."
look guilty. Oh, yes, I do. It makes you look guilty. It makes you look depressed. It makes you look sad. Well, he already said depressed. He said like 3 adjectives that this eye vector of mine, he wanted almondine eyes. Okay, so at a nose, you're looking for a retro-esque tip and an almondine eye. And I see these women in his office. I swear to God, most of them were ex-hookers or something. And they all had almond eyes, right?
And
he
big
said men are
boobies.
more attracted to cat-like almond eyes.
I don't
So
know.
I was like, my eyes are my fortune. Forget it. Right?
No.
Forget it, Frank. Even I know this. And so I go out and I buy some horrible tabloids and I find 2 other famous people with eye vectors like mine. There.
Right.
Nick Cage. Well, no, Nick Cage. I always say Nick Cave. Nick Cage. And
Nick Cave, Nick Cage.
Nick Cage.
Big
Nick Cage,
difference.
What's the diff? and Meg Ryan. They both had eye vectors where Frank wanted to do. Look, you see what he wanted to do like this? I know. Frank was really radical, and so this is the one
He's the
thing
one
I
who
let
gave
him
Hunt-
do.
Heidi-
I
what's
would
her
go
name?
see him.
He gave the girl from the hills.
consultation charge, but I have a shrink
All right,
here in New
comments.
York. This guy doesn't prescribe anything to anybody. He sees everyone on the Yankees. He sees everyone on. You know how you know who his clients are? Because Sports Illustrated letters that he's written cover his office. He also, for a while, was seeing 3. I don't know if I have the hubris to say I'm one of them. 2 really iconic blonde women, and then me. So. And you can see his clients because you can see the letters in this guy, and no one gets a prescription. But let's say you're on the Yankees and you throw a crappy ball. You got 100,000 people going, fuck you. So you have to learn how to stay in the zone. And this shrink is great. All right. Can I advocate a shrink on TV? I'll do it on my @Courtney. Okay. I have a Twitter now that's really
let's
normal.
mention your Twitter.
This is the
@Courtney.
radio, not TV.
All right. So I call him. I was going to get, here's Bebe. I broke my boobs. All right. I broke
all the
my
time.
boobs. I got these horrible saline tits.
You
in.
didn't need any of that.
These are normal now. They're the real thing. This is me. All right. But I had to do all the reconstruction to become sort of normal again because I went there. Right.
I
And
see.
had these
I get it.
big
You
boobies.
had to get corrective.
I had to get corrected. And the guy that corrected
Yeah.
me is Dr. Grant Stevens in the Marina, and he's the best in that
In the
part of
corrective
country.
arena.
In the corrective.
Yeah.
He told me on the lip front he was scooping for 7 hours. Okay? Scooping.
Oh.
I'm like, why aren't they thinner? I want them normal. I want them the way God gave them
You
to me.
had a big, luscious, beautiful mouth all by itself.
I did, but I didn't recognize it. Listen, I have a picture of myself at 15. I looked at the picture. I would have been fine. I would have been totally attractive.
You
I
had-
don't know what came over me. I had money. I really
No,
liked the
you-
rush. And
Well, I
and
think
Phoebe,
that-
I did what I could to fix it, and I'm never getting anything else.
And let me
again.
pause here and
Yeah.
introduce everyone. It's a great step. So
can
we got
we
Bebe
talk
That's
Buell.
about
my
broken
vow.
boob?
I'm not going to do
I think we
anything
covered your
either, and I
broken
don't
boob.
care what happens. I don't
But
care if it
what'd
gets...
you get done, by the way, Bebe Buell?
I had what's called an endoscopic. Is that what is it?
Yeah.
What Dr. Romo called an endoscopic facelift, where
that?
they don't cut you here and they don't cut you like around here. They make a couple of little things here and they go
in
in
the top of your
that
head.
way and they bring it up.
I see.
But it's left this crazy dent in my head here.
But no one can see it underneath here.
I know you can't. They say your hair covers it, but I feel it and it feels weird. But it really,
very, very.
but it really,
Beautiful Forever movie star told me, get your first facelift at 35 and you'll never have to think about it again.
yeah. Well, I was a little older than 35, but that's what I did, and I notice, I notice things all the time that show your aging. For instance, I think your neck and your chin.
Neck, for real.
But I'm at the point now where I just don't care.
No,
I look at Jagger in his pink suit.
Yeah.
taking over the Grammys with all that road map on his face, and I just think
just
he's
stared at his face
gorgeous.
forever.
Actually, somebody was pointing out they were trying to sell me on some maintenance, some plumpy maintenance.
You don't need anything.
And, no, but they pointed out Jagger. They used Jagger's face as the ropiness. And the guy was like, well, we have to build an infrastructure first. Okay, like, what am I, a road? Well, honestly, we have to build the infrastructure, and then we can plump it out. In other words, I don't want to say who it is, but there's one woman, I just didn't want to look like her because she went and got, like, the whole face blown up.
No, it doesn't look good.
It's not a good look. I'd rather be gone. But can I talk about my broken boob?
Yeah.
I'm
sorry.
I thought these saline breasts, all right, horrible. I did them for a particular rock star. This is when I used to play to musicians, all right? What a moron. I mean, really, Courtney? I mean, really, Billy Corgan? Like, you're going to get fake boobs from Billy Corgan?
Wait, stop. But Billy Corgan's like...
Really, I did that, Neil.
Wait, can I say something, though? But
I wanted big boobs. I mean, we weren't even...
Why?
But let me...
I was like, big boobs, and I went and got big boobs, and we never even dated.
But he's been one of your...
songs about each other.
He's been one of your, like, most loyal... He's been one of your most loyal, great friends.
And my most loyal enemies. Think of those things he said on this last record. I mean, Neil, I lived at your house.
I know, with him.
She's crazy. She's irrelevant. Last
He said
I
that?
heard, Billy was playing a festival for the Sunset Strip with a Zero t-shirt. Okay, like, honestly, this is not the best time to be... I mean, you know what probably made him pee his pants is Trent winning that Oscar. I would have never won that Oscar. And by the way, that Facebook Oscar was well-deserved. I could tell that's Reznor.
That was great.
Third note.
That was great.
And I
The Social Network soundtrack.
Yeah. No, definitely.
In the bathroom, and I could hear that it was Reznor. And I'm like, you know what?
So get back to the
And
exploding
let me
boobie, though.
do some
Tell
quick-
us.
hold on, Bebe, Courtney.
Tell us about
All right,
the...
boobs, fine. Fuck the station ID.
Wait, we're doing a saline.
And I have a tambourine on my boobs. I think they're indestructible because they're saline. By the way, silicone has a bad rap, and it shouldn't. The thing that happened in the 80s is that doctors started using Mexican silicone pads, and they broke, okay? So I broke a saline boob, thinking they were indestructible. I'm singing Northern Star without a top, all right, in a Perth, Australia. Boom, 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 boom. The masseuse says to me afterwards, this is like the third night. I stopped when it becomes a shtick, right? Taking my top off. But like I do for a few weeks, right? There's pictures. So the masseuse says to me afterwards, Court, what's wrong with your breasts? And I look down, and one breast is like porno, and they're heavy, those saline things. Heavy. You can't fake a guy out with those things. Right. And the other one is just the 90s.
So you got all the fluid inside of you?
It was just saline, though, Bebe. It's okay.
Yeah, but still, it still was in you.
So I had to go get some reconstruction.
That must have hurt.
What I did is I got my normal actual breasts. I actually got my normal breasts. I was like,
Back.
can I have small boobs back?
And on that note, our hour is up. That was the perfect anecdote. This Courtney Love on the Inner Circle with Neil Strauss. We also had Dan Kaminsky and the man who broke the internet.
Did I take over? Shit.
In a wonderful way. I think we should just do a second show, part 2 after this, because this is an amazing conversation. We got Jimmy Walls, who plays in Bebe Buell's band, and also from Das Damen.
The great Das Damen.
The great
Now
Das
I'm
Damen.
remembering all sorts of songs.
And Bebe Buell, who's
He was there in Chicago the night you and Kurt became.
That's when I met you. At the Metro.
Loves. The consummation of the...
Material Issue, that poor guy from Material Issue.
Yes.
I think the best cover that I've ever done in my life is Valerie Loves Me in Chicago. I mean, if you go on YouTube and you look at Paul and you put in Valerie Loves Me, I don't know how I learned it so fast, but it's Eric playing guitar, but it's also me playing guitar on it.
Inner Circle with Neil Strauss. Thank you for listening. Let's continue. Let's do a part 2. We're going to keep talking for 3 more hours. I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah, it was a good
Bye.
band.